Well, welcome back to Casually Caffeinated. Katherine, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Well, great. I'm good. I should say I'm good. How are you?
I think it's our nature, isn't it, to just go, I'm great, everything's great. And I was speaking with somebody yesterday, so it's funny that you said that. And I have seen Halloween decorations out already, and it was a skeleton hand that like you put on your lawn, and it looks like it's coming out of the lawn doing this, giving the thumbs up. And I think that's just going to be my email signature from now on.
I like it. I like it. No, you're so right that it's just I literally just did it right now. Like, oh, like I'm great. Like everything is fine. And really like not, I mean, things could be worse, but they could be a lot better too. No, and it's so funny because what we're talking about today is burnout. So this is a good example of that. But yeah, the days are just, there's a lot to do, but it's kind of a blur. Like with my toddler, I've had days at the end where I'm like thinking about the time we did have together, especially on the days like I'm not working. I'm like, okay, what did we do today? And sometimes I'm like, what did we do today? And not that every, moment has to be some like grand memory or whatever, but just that quality sometimes feels like it's like, just it's a blur.
Well, that's a sign. So that's one of my personal signs of burnout. So they say that short-term memory can be affected by incredible amounts of stress. And I will have the same thing, except what I find is I'll put my keys in the freezer and I can't find my keys and they'll be in the freezer. The other day, my reading glasses were in the mailbox. I can't even tell you how that happened because I don't know. So I think our conversation today is timely for burnout and some of the ways we can approach our organizations as well as for ourselves.
Right. Well, and as we touched on a previous episode, the lines between the workplace and, working from home or just the overall work time are so blurred. So I think employee burnout has always been a thing, but I think that it's a really big conversation right now, given the circumstances. So to your point earlier, what do you think that the different ways that as an employer you can help spot, or even as an employee help spot like burnout or someone maybe feeling, overwhelmed?
Well, I would definitely say that first start with yourself. I'm a big advocate for there's only one person that can keep your cup full so you can pour it into others, and that's yourself, partners, husband, wives, sisters. No one knows how full or empty your cup is except you. And so I think as HR professionals, because we come in contact with employees every day, and a lot of our job is not fun, especially right now, that we really need to check in with ourselves. So questions that I ask myself is, if I do find myself talking to you or my sister and I get done and I'm like, I don't even remember really what we talked about. I go outside for a walk, or I'll step away and do something that makes me happy. But are some questions to identify in yourself and others if you're not doing pulse surveys, which we know that everybody can't, especially right now.
Right.
Pull a few of your employees that you work with every day that are canaries in the coal mine to take the temperature of the organization. So, or are you working with people that have become cynical or fatalistic? Are you finding yourself having to drag yourself into work? Are you quick to irritation? The shift in behavior. So, Mary is always ray of sunshine and Mary comes in and you don't remember the last time that you saw her smile on that Zoom call, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you lacking satisfaction in things that you normally find joy in? Are you having trouble sleeping, or your sleeping patterns different?
Mm-hmm.
Are you having a hard time when something unexpected comes, adapting to whatever that is, when it's a minimal shift or change? These are all things that we can look to take our temperatures and the temperatures of our organization, because we all know that disengaged employees, burned out employees are not productive employees. And as we go into Q3 and Q4, especially given the revenue cycles of the spring, we're really going to need employees to push through that. So we really need to understand what's going on in organizations as well as what's going on in ourselves, so we can help our organizations.
Right. Right. So what, when we think of it, just adaptability and just kind of the overall, someone maybe feeling, burned out from having to continue to adapt or, change priorities on maybe, a project they've been working on or whatever it might be, pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID, whatnot. What would you recommend, just some practical tips from the employer on how to manage some of that, if there's not if someone might not see the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak?
Well, I think first you have to educate your managers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just because somebody is understandably burned out during this period of time doesn't mean that they're not going to be a good employee for the next 4, 5, 6 years. Fingers crossed, right? And so we have to remind managers that the folks are dealing with a lot right now. And even though they may still have their previous job pre-COVID and their compensation, maybe somebody in their household has been laid off, or somebody that they're financially responsible for, like a parent, now that job is gone. So whether that's a hostess at a restaurant or what have you, there are some industries that are really hit and organizations that are just completely gone. And so we need to understand that from an employer point of view. And I think we need to remind managers that employees are really looking for small things. So if your employee, what I would tell managers is, if your employee does a great job, call them separately and tell them they did a great job. Don't give them another task on that call. Just call them for the sole purpose of saying, hey, that was really great, or hey, I really appreciate your work. And right now, we know that with burnout, lack of control, lack of clear job expectations are problems. So now it's also a really good time to reset. So reset your expectations. What you were expecting in those performance reviews that we all did in January, probably not the same goals that are going to go into Q3 and Q4. Reset on what control looks like. So that employee are they making their own schedule? Are they determining what their workload is? Talk to them about how they can be more proactive in their role in the company. And if you are having a dysfunctional workplace dynamic, go ahead and address it now before you really have that big Q3, Q4 push, because it's just going to get worse, right? We all know during busy season, tempers, et cetera, can get out of control. And it may feel like to some folks that they've been in a busy season for the whole year. And I think educating managers on how to deal with that and how to be proactive and head some of that off. So that looks like check-in calls. That looks like, hey, John, I noticed you haven't taken any PTO this year. What's going on? How can I help you? I love the how can I help you question, because you may hear things you've never even thought of before. So how can I help you with your job? How can I help you take PTO?
Right. So it really sounds like it's going to be an ongoing initiative from, not that it has never existed before, and I taking proactive measures to identify, employee burnout. But it sounds like it's really become a priority for employers to recognize this, and from the employee, standpoint too, so that they can take the measures that they need to make sure that, they're not totally losing themselves, and that they're, going to, remain engaged and,
Right. So even things as simple as encouraging employees to have those one-on-one conversations, right? Because we know we all get on a Zoom call and there's 8 people on the Zoom call, we have the agenda items, and then we leave. So employees aren't getting to experience that connectivity that they were feeling to the organization. And you want employees to feel connected to their coworkers, to feel a connection, a team spirit. So encourage that employee. If you notice an employee is struggling, or you notice an employee is doing great, encourage them, hey, go ahead and call Frank just like you would on your way back, from the coffee machine, to stop in and say hello. Connectivity, engagement in your organization absolutely increases productivity. So it's important to remind managers that kind of water cooler talk and some of the more connected activities that don't have to be 50 people on a Zoom call for a happy hour, because it could be hard for folks to connect on that. So maybe it's 1 or 2. Maybe you just tell your team, go ahead and set up one of your directives I want you to do this week is set up a call with one of your colleagues and just talk. Don't feel obligated to talk about work. And that really helps folks with addressing that burnout and staying engaged in their workplace.
That's such good advice. Thank you so much, Brooke, as always, for just shedding a light on a lot of areas of HR and beyond that affect, so many. And your insight is always appreciated and valued. So thank you.
Thank you, Katherine. I love our time together. So this helps me stay connected as well.
It really does. I agree wholeheartedly, and you're one of my favorite people in and out of the office. So.
All right. Well, I'll see you later, lady. Have a great day.
All right. You too.